Hi, everyone. This is acyuta-bhava from Nightlight Astrology. Happy Friday, everybody. I'm just doing a really brief video today to show you something kind of cool that I noticed in the news corresponding with some of the symbolism of the planets in the sky right now. This is just really just kind of a simple, quick video. I will be returning to videos later next week as I'm still finishing up some of my work from the Kickstarter, but check this out. So you may remember that I said that one of the themes of this current lunar cycle was the death of solar figures. And I mentioned the big transition of power happening in the US as a huge part of that. Thankfully, we didn't see, total mayhem on Inauguration Day. And part of that is because of the saving grace of Jupiter. We've got Jupiter right now in a superior square over Saturn or over Mars. And that seems to have really held the worst of Uranus, Mars in check so far. Although we did see there were some earthquakes that I thought people were reporting on, and I saw in the news. I thought that was interesting because that was definitely one of the questions I had about this combination this month. At any rate, but the really interesting symbolism here, and I mentioned this in a video I think at the beginning of this week, is that the Sun is conjoining with Saturn. Now, this is going to happen over the weekend. The Sun-Saturn combination is often seen as an old male figure dying, usually a celebrity or a king or someone who has notoriety or power or rank, fathers, CEOs. I mean, it just kind of has that feeling of the death of a masculine or solar figure or someone who's famous or someone who has some kind of authority. And I had mentioned this as part of what we were seeing, and part of why not only myself but other astrologers were sort of worried about the inauguration, given all the political controversy surrounding it. Was Joe Biden going to be safe? He has some rough health transits in his chart right now. Seems to have gotten away with just a walking boot so far, but at any rate, you guys saw that. But so why am I saying this? Because today I read the news that Hank Aaron died. Hank Aaron is a civil rights icon and one of the best baseball players of all time. So he fits the bill of a kind of Ganymede, Aquarian solar figure. And what's interesting about this is that the Mars and Jupiter are squaring one another right now as well. Why is that a big deal? Because the square between these planets is happening as an iconic baseball figure and civil rights icon is essentially being put into the stars forever. He will be forever. His legend will live on. But why is this especially interesting? Because the only person to ever eclipse his home run record, as far as I'm aware, was Barry Bonds, who needed steroids to do so. And that's one of the things you're hearing people talk about today already is, his legacy is sort of the greatest home run hitter of all time, one of the greatest batters of all time, players of all time. He's a civil rights icon, of course, defying racism in baseball earlier in his life especially. But so all of that is very Aquarian and very Sun-Saturn to see someone pass away like that. But it's interesting that it's a sports legend as Mars is squaring Jupiter, because you've got the god of athletes, Mars, with the god of victory and triumph and bigness. But Mars, Jupiter, squares, conjunctions, etc., are sometimes associated with steroids, things that we do to inflate or expand our muscle or strength, Mars, Jupiter. So the interesting thing is here you have someone passing away whose legacy was in some ways tarnished by being beat out by Barry Bonds, who arguably needed steroids to do so. So the fact that in the news today you have the death of this solar figure and then a controversy surrounding his legacy due to the steroids of someone who beat his record, that's really amazing. Now, one other thing in the news today, one of my childhood friends, their son just set the world record for the most consistent pogo stick jumps. And isn't that funny? It's just such a Mars-Jupiter thing. So watch for the amplification of Mars-Jupiter-like things, setting records, victories, and then you have this sports icon in the news. So, but you're going to see this perfect over the weekend. Watch for the combination of Mars, god of war, strength, victory, courage, athletes, warriors, combining with Jupiter, which can make it a lot bigger and make it more amplified, and also sometimes take it over the top sometimes, as the case is with steroids. And then look at how you have this interesting Sun-Saturn conjunction. So I couldn't help but notice what a perfect fit Hank Aaron passing away was with the astrology right now, especially given the steroid thing surrounding his legacy. This is just a brief update. I couldn't help myself. I was like, I'm not supposed to be doing videos. And I was like, I just got to do this, like just a little video. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great weekend. Tell me how you are experiencing the Mars-Jupiter transit. I'd love to hear from you guys in the chat box, see how you're doing. And also the Sun-Saturn. How are you noticing that show up in your life? That would be really interesting to hear you guys talk about. I'd love to hear your stories and what you've done to work through the dynamics of the past week. Be careful of Mars on steroids over the weekend. That's my only advice. And I'll be back doing videos probably later next week. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye.